We all saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
Hold on to your seats, because this one is wild. Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul you thought you knew, is at the center of a scandal that makes every other celebrity controversy look tame. Arrested and now facing shocking accusations that could end his career, Diddy's hidden world of secret, twisted parties is finally coming to light. Insiders are spilling details about bizarre freak-offs, mind games, and chilling manipulation tactics. And get this, rumors say he's been pulling strings behind the scenes for years, controlling Hollywood's elite with blackmail and intimidation. You won't believe the jaw-dropping stories that are emerging.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it.
So, Diddy's arrest in New York made headlines everywhere. On the surface, this is just another high-profile celebrity run-in with the law, right? Wrong. This story goes way beyond anything we've seen before. The charges against him are not just about a single incident. They paint a picture of a man who, for decades, has been living a life in secret, one that now threatens to end his career and his life as a free man. Diddy isn't just accused of living a double life. He's accused of creating an empire built on unimaginable horrors. And the details emerging now, they're enough to turn even the most hardened celebrity gossip follower pale.
Diddy has been under criminal investigation for months by federal prosecutors here in New York. And if there are criminal charges, many of them may look a lot like what some of these individuals have been describing.
Imagine the setting, a luxurious mansion in Beverly Hills or a penthouse suite in Manhattan filled with A-listers and up-and-coming stars eager to rub shoulders with Diddy. These weren't your typical Hollywood parties with Giddy. These weren't your typical Hollywood parties with glamorous guests sipping expensive champagne. No, these parties, known in whispered circles as freak-offs, were something entirely different. They were bizarre, extreme, and completely unlike the polished image Diddy showed the public.
Replete with very, very serious and salacious allegations, including allegations that Combs had cameras throughout his...
According to insiders, these parties were secret gatherings where anything could happen, and often did. The details being shared now by those who were there reveal a horrifying scene. Guests were invited under the pretense of a wild night of fun, only to find themselves trapped in a nightmare. Diddy allegedly used his power and influence to lure people into these twisted events. Once there, it was impossible to leave without facing serious consequences. Attendees describe an environment where the only thing more shocking than the activities taking place was the way Diddy allegedly controlled everything with an iron fist.
The rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
Those who were there claim that Diddy was always at the center of the action, pulling the strings. He wasn't just the host. He was the director. Witnesses describe how he choreographed the entire night, orchestrating the most disturbing scenes as if they were performances. The shocking part, he often recorded these events, not for fun, but to hold over the heads of those who participated. It's being said that this was how he maintained power over people for so long. He had dirt on everyone, and no one wanted to be the one to speak out.
That he controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
One former attendee, who has remained anonymous, shared that the first time they realized something was wrong was when they noticed the hidden cameras. They were everywhere, capturing every moment without anyone's consent. This wasn't just an invasion of privacy. It was a tactic of control. Diddy allegedly used these recordings to blackmail guests, ensuring their silence for years. The victims were not just random partygoers. They were celebrities, musicians, models, and athletes. People you'd never expect to find themselves in such a vulnerable position, all under Diddy's spell.
I've had clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
Take the case of Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former romantic partner, for example. Cassie, who had been in a long-term relationship with Diddy, revealed in her lawsuit that she had been a part of these horrific parties. In fact, it was Cassie's bravery in speaking out that cracked the whole story wide open. She painted a terrifying picture of the manipulation and control Diddy exercised, not just over her, but over everyone who attended these gatherings. According to her, Diddy was not just violent, but he made sure that everyone involved was either too scared or too ashamed to talk. The power dynamic was clear. Diddy was at the top and everyone else was dispensable. Cassie described how Diddy would often test the loyalty of those around him. He would use fear, intimidation, and sometimes outright threats to keep people in line. And if anyone dared to step out of line, the consequences were severe. There are even stories circulating that Diddy would destroy people's lives if they tried to defy him. One particularly chilling incident that Cassie mentioned was when Diddy allegedly destroyed a car belonging to rapper Kid Cutie just to send a message. The message, no one crosses Diddy and gets away with it.
Well, either way, if you got to run to a private island because your evil doings is doing so much and they storming your house, it's one of these.
But it wasn't just Cassie who experienced this. Over the past year, more and more women have come forward with their own stories. The details are eerily similar. The manipulation, the violence, the fear of speaking out. It was all part of a pattern that Diddy had carefully crafted over decades. It's no wonder that some of these women stayed silent for so long. Diddy wasn't just a music mogul. He was a man who seemed untouchable, someone with connections so deep that even the thought of taking him down seemed impossible.
These are all allegations that have become shockingly familiar against Diddy in recent months as he has faced lawsuit after lawsuit from women and men who have accused him of all manner of bad behavior.
One of the most alarming revelations came from a woman who described how Diddy would hold freak-offs that lasted for days. These events, filled with high-profile celebrities, weren't just wild parties, they were dangerous. Diddy reportedly kept guests under his control, ensuring that they were too disoriented and exhausted to think clearly. Victims were often left traumatized by what they had seen and experienced, with no idea of how to escape the situation they found themselves in.
Everything that you're looking at, they're all tied in together. Every part, as crazy as this seems, as outrageous as it seems, it all ties in, every bit of it.
It's also worth mentioning that these gatherings weren't always kept within the walls of Diddy's mansions. Some of these events took place in hotels around the world, from Tokyo to Miami. There's one particular story from a former dancer, Rachel Kennedy, who recalled a night in Tokyo that began as a fun night out and ended in complete disaster. She and her friends were invited to what they thought was a party. But when they arrived, they realized there was no one else there, just Diddy. Kennedy's story mirrors that of so many others. What started as an innocent invitation turned into something much darker. By the end of the night, Kennedy and her friends were desperate to leave, but found themselves trapped in a situation they had no control over.
Who said that another guy who was already famous, and this guy was coming up, he said that the guy told him, he goes, hey, listen, get out of here.
And let's not forget about the people who worked for Diddy. Several of his former employees have now come forward, claiming that they were forced to participate in these events, or at least stand by and watch as they unfolded. One former producer, Rodney Jones, shared his own terrifying experience. He described how Diddy tried to groom him into a lifestyle he didn't want to be part of. Jones claimed that Diddy forced him to attend these parties and even hire people to participate in the events. It wasn't just the guests who were being manipulated, it was everyone in Diddy's orbit.
That clearly there is a criminal investigation underway, and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
But what's perhaps most shocking is how long Diddy was able to get away with it all. How could someone in such a public position, someone constantly in the spotlight, hide something so dark for so long? The truth is, Diddy's life was a masterclass in maintaining appearances. On the surface, he was the ultimate entertainer, a man who had it all. He was the king of parties, the guy everyone wanted to be around. His events were legendary, and his success in the music industry made him untouchable. But behind closed doors, something much darker was happening. Even now, after all these allegations have come to light, Diddy remains defiant. In his public statements, he denies everything. He claims that these accusations are nothing more than a witch hunt, people looking for a payday. In fact, in December 2023, Diddy posted a message on his Instagram saying, "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I've sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy." He insisted that he would fight to clear his name and that the truth would come out in the end. But for those who were there, who lived through the nightmare of his secret life, his words ring hollow.
With this newest lawsuit, this would probably only expedite or increase the amount of allegations and potential witnesses who could testify against Sean Combs.
Diddy's arrest marks a turning point. For the first time, it seems like justice might finally catch up to him. And while he's denied bail twice, it's becoming increasingly clear that this time, there's no easy way out. The charges he faces are serious, and if convicted, he could be looking at spending the rest of his life in prison. The man who once stood at the top of the music world now faces the very real possibility of never walking free again.
This is in the matter of Derek Lee Cardello Smith, MDOC number 267009 versus Sean Combs, Sean Puff Daddy Combs, also known as Sean P. Diddy, also known as Diddy. Bad Boy Records label owner.
But the story doesn't end there. Even as Diddy sits in jail, more details are emerging, not just about the parties, but about what they really meant. And this is where things take an even darker turn. Because if the rumors are to be believed, Diddy wasn't just throwing these wild events for fun. No, there is a theory that these parties were about something much more sinister, a way for Diddy to gain power, to collect secrets, and to use them to his advantage. And that's where the conspiracy theories begin. What if all those wild parties, those infamous gatherings that have now come to light, were never about the fun? What if Diddy had a much bigger plan all along, and these outrageous events were part of a grander scheme? Let's dive into the conspiracy theories surrounding Diddy's rise to power, because trust us, this is where things start to get really dark. There's a theory floating around that these so-called freak-offs weren't just indulgent, over-the-top gatherings. In fact, some believe Diddy used them as a tool, not just for personal pleasure, but for control. Think about it. He hosted these extravagant events, lured in some of the biggest names in the industry, and made sure to record everything that went down, not just for kicks, but to use as leverage. It's the ultimate power move. The idea here is that Diddy wasn't just a music mogul. He was playing a much bigger game, using these parties to gather dirt on other celebrities, influencers, and industry power players. Once they were caught in his web, they couldn't escape.
And a lot of the evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak-offs.
Look at the timeline. Diddy's ascent to billionaire status wasn't just due to his talent and business acumen. Sure, he had success with Bad Boy Records, launching the careers of some of hip-hop's biggest stars, but every time Diddy faced controversy or a scandal that could have derailed his career, he somehow managed to come out unscathed. Coincidence? Some people don't think so. There are whispers that Diddy had a lot of help from those very people who attended his parties, and they had no choice but to protect him because he held all the cards. Blackmail. Pure and simple.
And if he's allowed to go through with any of the sales, I won't be able to recoup any of my monies or anything from him as a result of any possible judgment in this action, if he's allowed to proceed with it. And an injunction or a restraining order would help ensure that he's not manipulating and selling the property to avoid.
Take the example of those high-profile guests at his parties, top-tier celebrities, athletes, and even political figures. What if they weren't there just for a night of fun? What if they were part of a more sinister agenda? The recordings Diddy allegedly kept from these parties were more than just souvenirs. They were a form of insurance. Imagine you're a famous actor or a high-powered business executive, and there's footage of you doing something you'd rather the world not know about. You're stuck, and Diddy knew that.
This is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
There's even a theory that Diddy's empire was built on this secret network of information. He collected dirt on everyone and then used that information to his advantage, whether it was securing business deals, avoiding legal troubles, or just maintaining his position at the top of the entertainment industry. People have started to wonder, was Diddy's charm and business sense really enough to get him where he is today? Or was there something much darker going on behind the scenes?
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
And here's where it gets even crazier. Some believe that Diddy wasn't just using this information for personal gain. He might have been working for someone even bigger. Rumors are swirling that Diddy could have been connected to powerful figures in law enforcement or even the government. There's talk that he was an informant for the FBI, feeding them information on other celebrities and high-profile figures in exchange for protection. This would explain how he managed to avoid serious consequences for so long, even when he was involved in some pretty shady situations.
And I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his mom.
Remember that infamous nightclub shooting back in 1999? Diddy was at the center of it, along with his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez and rapper Shine. The incident could have easily destroyed his career. 3 people were injured, and Diddy was charged with gun possession and bribery. Yet somehow, he walked away clean. He was acquitted, while Shine ended up serving time in prison. How did Diddy manage to dodge that bullet? Literally. Some believe it's because he had powerful people protecting him, people who owed him favors or who didn't want their own secrets exposed.
New at 5, the legal troubles continue for Sean Diddy Combs tonight after a judge ordered the music mogul to pay $100 million to a Michigan man who says that he was sexually assaulted by Combs in '97.
According to court documents, Derek Cardello Smith says Combs drugged and then assaulted him during an after party at a Holiday Inn in Detroit. But Combs never responded to the lawsuit in court.
And it wasn't just the nightclub incident. Over the years, Diddy has been involved in countless scandals, lawsuits, and accusations, but each time he emerged relatively unscathed. Whether it was lawsuits from former employees, altercations with other celebrities, or accusations of misconduct, Diddy always seemed to have an escape plan. And that's where the theory of him being an FBI informant comes in. Could he have been feeding information to law enforcement to stay in their good graces? Could he have been protected because of the valuable intel he was providing? There's even speculation that Diddy's connections to high-level political figures helped him maintain his position of power. He's been photographed with former presidents, A-list politicians, and influential figures in the business world. Was it just for show, or was there more to these relationships? Could these connections have been part of a larger network that helped Diddy protect himself while continuing to manipulate others?
Diddy is now being sued in addition to what we just talked about by Dawn Richards. You guys will remember her. She was a part of Making the Band.
Dirty Money.
Dirty Money, the Danny Kane era. So basically what she is alleging, she's alleging a lot of different things.
And then there's a theory that Diddy's involvement in these parties wasn't just about collecting dirt on celebrities. It was also about manipulating the entertainment industry as a whole. By having leverage over key players in music, film, and television, Diddy could influence careers, make or break deals, and essentially shape the industry to his liking. This theory suggests that Diddy's empire wasn't just built on music, fashion, and media. It was built on control. He controlled the narrative, the people, and the industry itself, all from behind the scenes. One of the most chilling aspects of this theory is how Diddy allegedly used fear to maintain his grip on power. According to some insiders, Diddy wasn't afraid to ruin lives if it meant protecting himself. There are stories of people who crossed him, only to see their careers destroyed or their personal lives torn apart. Whether it was through blackmail, intimidation, or strategic partnerships, Diddy made sure that no one would dare challenge him.
Dawn had the choice to file the case as a Jane Doe, and she chose not to do that. After giving it a fair amount of thought, she wants accountability, she wants justice.
And what about the accusations that Diddy worked for someone bigger? There's a theory that Diddy was just a pawn in a much larger game, a tool used by people in power to maintain control over the entertainment industry. The idea is that Diddy's parties were part of a much bigger scheme, one that involved not just celebrities and influencers, but politicians, executives, and even law enforcement. The goal: to create a network of influence and control that reached the highest levels of society.
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see. These are allegations.
This theory is fueled by Diddy's seemingly unbreakable ties to people in power. How else could someone with so many skeletons in their closet continue to thrive despite one scandal after another? How else could he manage to stay one step ahead of the law even when the evidence against him seemed overwhelming? It all points to one thing: Diddy wasn't acting alone. He was part of something bigger, something much more dangerous.
Now, if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
And this brings us back to the present day. Diddy's arrest, the mounting allegations, and the possibility of life in prison. All of it seems to be the result of years of secrets finally catching up to him. But the real question is, will the full story ever come out? Will we ever know just how deep this conspiracy goes and who else might be involved? Or will Diddy take these secrets with him to the grave? What we do know is that Diddy's empire is crumbling. His businesses are distancing themselves from him, his former associates are speaking out, and the world is starting to see the man behind the curtain. But if these conspiracy theories hold any truth, this is just the beginning. Because if Diddy was truly part of a larger network of power, then the fallout from his downfall could be much bigger than anyone realizes. One thing's for sure, the entertainment industry is in for a shakeup. As more people come forward with their stories, as more secrets are revealed, the true extent of Diddy's influence will come to light. And when that happens, we may find out that Diddy wasn't just a music mogul. He was the mastermind behind one of the most elaborate schemes in celebrity history. So, what do you think? Was Diddy really running the entertainment industry from the shadows? Did he use his infamous parties to blackmail and control those around him? Or is this all just another wild conspiracy? And if Diddy wasn't acting alone, who else might be involved? The questions are endless, and the answers, well, we're just beginning to scratch the surface. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, because this story is far from over.